Hi, welcome to this technical update for IBM Spectrum Protect version 8.1.17, IBM Spectrum Protect Plus version 10.1.13, and IBM Spectrum Copy Data Management version 2.2.18. My name is Trisha Jong, and I will be working with my colleague Sean Sperry. I'll be covering what's new in Spectrum Protect, and then I'll turn it over to Sean to cover what's new in Spectrum Protect Plus, Spectrum Protect Plus Online Services, and CDM. Now, these versions of the product are GAing on December 9th, 2022. The first new feature in Spectrum Protect has to do with our Operations Center administrator passwords, and we're introducing a new password strength meter for those administrator passwords. And this is going to help strengthen the administrator passwords and make it harder for hackers to access the Operations Center. This new strength meter will go into effect when your administrator password expires or has to be reset if your Spectrum Protect server and Operations Center is at version 8.1.17. And when the Spectrum Protect administrator goes to reset their password inside of the Operations Center, they will now have to meet an average strength password. And this average strength is based upon the types of words they're using in their password. So you can't use things like common words, common phrases, common passwords, words like TSM, Spectrum, Operations Center, OC, admin. The passwords are being checked against an open source library called ZXCVBN, which is looking for these words that are commonly used inside of passwords and thus easier for hackers to guess. Now, a longer password with more random characters will also give you a higher strength score, and the Spectrum Protect server password complexity settings are being enforced. So things like password reuse limit, min password length, min password characters alphabetic, min passwords character numeric, or min passwords character special. And a lot of those were introduced in the last two versions of Spectrum Protect. Now, as of version 8.1.17, this password strength meter is only being enforced in the Operations Center. It does not apply if you're only going through the command line interface. Okay, there is a YouTube out there, so be sure to check it out, and you can see a demo of how the password strength meter works. The next update is in our HSM for Windows web client. Now, remember, HSM for Windows gives you the ability to migrate files directly off of your production servers out to the Spectrum Protect storage pools. It leaves in its place a small stub file, so if you need to access that file, the recall is done automatically back from the Spectrum Protect storage pools to the original location on the production servers. So with this HSM for Windows, there have been multiple updates in our web client. So back in version 8.1.15, we started introducing new features around job migration directly inside of the web client. These are features that were previously only available in the command line. And what's new in version 8.1.17 is now we have also introduced the ability underneath the configuration job migration panel, so that's the configuration tab underneath job migration, to do things like create, edit, or delete migration jobs. And so this will give the administrators a place to centrally manage all of their migration jobs directly inside of the web client. So do check out the YouTube where I walk you through these new features, as well as some of the features that were introduced in version 8.1.15. In our Spectrum Protect, Spectrum Protect Plus, and now our OSSM blueprints, we are providing updated detailed guidance on how to correctly configure your systems for the best performance as well as successful deployment. And so we have three different categories of blueprints out there. We have our IBM Spectrum Protect blueprints, our IBM Spectrum Protect Plus blueprints, and our IBM Spectrum Protect Cloud blueprints. So in October 2022, we released some new blueprints for our Spectrum Protect, and this is our version 5.1 blueprint. And it was released for Linux x86, and that's the first version. You'll be seeing additional versions here shortly. And this version of the blueprints includes multi-site replication planning. So if you recall, when you are replicating your Spectrum Protect backups to another Spectrum Protect server for disaster recovery, you can now replicate to multiple locations. So that is covered in this blueprint, as well as the storage rule replication that's used to do that multi-site replication. We also have updated some of the hardware that's being referenced. Remember, the blueprints give very clear guidance on hardware recommendations, and so it now references the new Xeon processors, as well as the new FlashSystems 5000 and 5200 configurations and volume protection. It now also references ESS 5000 and ESS 3200, and a new piece is that it includes references for putting your Spectrum Protect database, that's our DB2 component, out on these ESS entities. We also have updated the automated scripts for password handling changes, and this will work not only with your Linux x86, but if you're installing Spectrum Protect on other platforms, you can use these automated scripts for them as well, and they will compensate for the new password handling changes. Okay, for the IBM Spectrum Protect Cloud Blueprints, we've released version 2.0, and the biggest change here is that it now also covers the Google Cloud Platform, and it provides bare metal and VPC Gen 2 virtual machine guidance for IBM Cloud. In November of 2022, we introduced IBM Spectrum Protect Plus version 10.1.12 blueprints, and the biggest change here is that it covers utilizing OSSM. And as you'll recall, OSSM is the common repository that allows you to store your Spectrum Protect Plus backups into Spectrum Protect Directory Container Storage Pool environment. This means that your Spectrum Protect Plus backups are able to capitalize on all of the space you've carved out for your directory container storage pools, and they're able to capitalize on the built-in deduplication, encryption, and compression that those directory container storage pools offer. So this blueprint now covers utilizing the OSSM capabilities for both Spectrum Protect and Spectrum Protect Plus, and it will reference standard small, medium, or large sizes for your OSSM and the related VDAP compute requirements. The IBM Spectrum Protect Plus Blueprint Sizer is also updated to help size for the OSSM workloads. And remember, the Spectrum Protect Plus Sizer is available out on the web. And these sizing spreadsheets will work both for the traditional vSnap storage pools inside of SPP or for the new OSSM storage pools. I do have a new video out there talking about some of the new enhancements in these blueprints, so to be sure to check that out. Okay, the next update has to do with Predatar. And remember, Predatar provides cyber recovery orchestration for your Spectrum Protect and Spectrum Protect Plus backups. The first thing is that Predatar is now available as part of the IBM storage software portfolio. And then inside of Predatar itself, there have been some updates. So if you haven't checked out Predatar in a while, be sure to check out the demo that's linked up above. There is now extended support for Spectrum Protect for VE. So all of your cyber recovery orchestrations that were previously only available for Spectrum Protect Plus workloads are now also available for Spectrum Protect for virtual environments. There's deeper SIM integration. So Predatar now includes bi-directional integration with your IBM QRadar SIM platform. And you'll see other SIM integration platforms coming soon. The final enhancement is the customizable automations, and this is a toggle-based control that's going to make it easy for users to customize their automated workflows based upon the type and severity of threats. So as you recall, Predatar uses the telemetry data from your backups to determine if there is some type of threat against this, and if there is, it will rate that threat on a scale of 1 to 10. And then based upon these automation rules you've set up, you can determine what you want to do with that threat. If you want to generate some type of SIM alert, if you want to generate an internal ticket for your IT folks to look at, if you want to scan that backup for malware. So this control to customize your automations has been updated. So be sure to check out that demo on Predatar and how it provides cyber recovery orchestration for your backups. Okay, moving on to Spectrum Protect Plus, I'm going to cover the first piece and then I'll turn it over to my colleague. IBM Spectrum Protect Plus is available on different cloud marketplaces, including IBM Cloud, AWS, and Azure. We recently updated our Azure Marketplace offering to have Spectrum Protect Plus version 10.1.11. So the nice thing about utilizing Marketplace to purchase and deploy your Spectrum Protect Plus environments is that everything is automated for you, and you can deploy either in a hybrid where you have your SPP server on site, but then you have the automatic deployment of a vSnap into Microsoft Azure Cloud that can then protect the workloads that are running out in Azure. Or you can have Marketplace do an all-on-cloud deployment where both your Spectrum Protect server and vSnap are deployed into Azure. So with this update, when the customer purchases Spectrum Protect Plus from Azure, the version 10.1.11 will now be deployed. Previously, it was deploying version 10.1.7. Another update that's occurred is that the deployment guide that goes along with this offering has a new appendix which addresses the CentOS to Red Hat Enterprise Linux updates that took place in Spectrum Protect 10.1.11. So if a customer did purchase Spectrum Protect Plus in Azure prior to this update, they will need to manually go through and migrate their vSnaps to utilize Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Whereas if they purchase it now at version 10.1.11, they will not have to do that migration. There is a new YouTube out there that goes through the process of purchasing IBM Spectrum Protect Plus version 10.1.11 from Azure Marketplace. Okay, and with that, I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to Sean.
So continuing with Spectrum Protect Plus, we're now going to talk about the new features of Spectrum Protect Plus version 10.1.13. And we're going to start off by talking about transport encryption. Now, I just want to start out by saying what transport encryption is. Here we're not talking about encryption at rest on the vSnap server, which is encryption in place, so to speak. So that is the encryption of the data once it's stored on the vSnap. But we are talking about the data moving from the workload that we are protecting to the vSnap server. And beginning in version 10.1.13, we have made enhancements that allows you to turn on transport encryption. The way you're going to do that is on a per vSnap basis. And as you can see here, you can do it either from the vSnap command line or from the Spectrum Protect Plus GUI by going to the vSnap and changing a checkbox. The data path is going to be in general encrypted when the backup restore is to and from the vSnap and transport encryption is enabled. Now we're going to talk about coming up where there are various different ways we've had to implement this encryption. And there are some cert workloads that still have various paths that are not encrypted, and you will have to take various other options in order to configure encryption on those or to make the transport secure. Also, we did not want to break backups for various different workloads. So by default, when you do the upgrade of the vSnap and the Spectrum Protect Plus server to version 10.1.13, the transport encryption will be off to preserve the legacy behavior. So what you'll have to do is you'll have to go in and enable it as we showed in the previous slide in order to get transport encryption. Now, from an upgrade recommendation, we do advise you that you update the vSnap prior to updating the Spectrum Protect Plus server to version 10.1.13. And basically, until you get all of the components upgraded, you're not going to be enabled to use transport encryption. So it will require 10.1.13 on all of the various components of Spectrum Protect Plus. As you do go on to 10.1.13 and higher versions, the settings for transport encryption will be preserved during the upgrade process. So this is just how you might imagine things would work. It kind of makes sense, right? Once you turn it on, it's going to remain on going forward, but the default is off. Now, this is just some information on how we changed the underlying transport protocols in Spectrum Protect Plus to support transport encryption. As you know, if you're a Spectrum Protect Plus user, there are many different workloads that are supported in Spectrum Protect Plus, including file systems, VMware, various different databases, etc. And there are also various different operating systems that are supported, including specifically for the targets that you're backing up, Unix and Windows. And depending on which one of those you're using, we had to change the underlying protocol to include encryption or to take advantage of transport encryption. So for iSCSI, basically what we did is left it as iSCSI and implemented an SSH tunnel to send the data from the application host to the vSnap server. For SMB, we basically enabled encrypted SMB. And for NFS protocol, what we did was changed it where we could to use encrypted SMB. And the understanding there from our development organizations is that really it's very difficult to make NFS secure. So that is why that protocol change was implemented there. Now, because of these requirements, we have also changed the need to have CIFS utils installed on both the vSnap and the particular clients that you might be doing data protection applications against. If you're using a VADP proxy with VMware that is running on a virtual machine that is delivered with Spectrum Protect Plus, then those CIFS utils will already be installed. So you won't have to do anything in that case. But if you're using a native VADP proxy, in other words, a VADP proxy that's installed on an operating system that is supported by you, or if you're protecting a workload that is on Red Hat, what you'll have to do is you'll have to install this CIFS utils package in order to take advantage of transport encryption. And here you see some commands for Red Hat Linux that basically shows you how to determine if the CIFS utils are already installed or how to install it if it's not already there in order to be able to run a backup. This is some additional information about the specific workloads and what is protected and what is not. As I said earlier, there are many different workloads in Spectrum Protect Plus. We support 5 or 6 different databases and we support VMware, etc. I'm not going to necessarily read all of these to you, but I will point out some highlights of these protected workloads and how they work. First of all, the fully protected workloads: SQL and Exchange, DB backup and log, Windows file system, Oracle and DB2 on Linux, and MongoDB. With VMware, there is some particular exclusions to that. Namely, you may have to configure additional protection from the vCenter or ESXi machine to the VADP proxy, perhaps using NBD SSL. But in general, you can protect those workloads with encryption, and also SAP Hana database, the database itself, but not necessarily the logs. There are some workloads, however, that data encryption is not available on, and here are some information on those. First of all, Hyper-V. So the recommendation there is to use a non-routable network between the Hyper-V host and the vSNAP. Oracle database and log on AIX, DB2 database and log on AIX, and SAP HANA database and log on AIX. Those are ones that we continue to work on enhancing transport encryption to support those workloads on AIX. Containers, and the recommendation there is to essentially not use vSNAP. Either back up the containers directly to cloud storage if you need transport encryption, or to move to Spectrum Fusion. And of course, Office 365. And what we're referring to here is the old version of Office 365 support for Spectrum Protect Plus. So the recommendation there is to use Spectrum Protect Plus for online services. Now, I went over those very quickly, and there's a lot of details and considerations for each one of these workloads. So for that, I want to refer you to the Knowledge Center for 10.1.13. If you go to Configuring Advanced Storage Options in the Knowledge Center, you will see each one of the workloads laid out in specific recommendations for which transport are encrypted and which ones aren't, and you can take the appropriate action to configure your system so that you have the maximally secure environment. There is some further information here on platform support. Basically, as you can see from the chart on the right-hand side, we're going to support a subset of the existing platforms for configuring transport and encryption, and that includes the latest versions of Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8.0 and 9.0 and SLES version 15. For the supported applications and how you need to configure them, I'm going to refer you to the All Requirements document for Spectrum Protect Plus. And really, this is the go-to source for determining if your particular workload is supported, what versions you need to run, and how to configure them for transport encryption and to make sure that the backups do indeed succeed. Continuing on, we've now added incremental forever support for Microsoft Exchange when the databases are on the resilient file system on Windows. We always have done incremental forever for Exchange databases on NTFS file systems, so there's not really any change there. But beginning in version 10.1.13, if an Exchange database is created on a resilient file system volume, the initial backup will be a full database backup, of course, and subsequent backups will run block level incremental based backups based on the previous backup. We continue to always perform a full copy of other files like log files, which are very small and always change entirely, so there's not really a lot of benefit for an incremental copy. And you can enforce, if you want to, a full backup of a particular REFS database if that's what you choose to do. And that's basically the same behavior that we have allowed in NTFS for as long as the product has supported Exchange. Continuing, there's some changes to SQL Server event logging and some improved event logging for SQL Server. We now write SQL Server backup completion messages to both the Spectrum Protect Plus logs, the SQL Server logging backup history table, and to the Windows event registry. And basically the reason we're doing this is because we want to ensure that administrators of SQL Server database have all the information they need to ensure that they have a complete SQL Server backup. So that information that we're writing includes both the VSS backup status, which is of course done by Windows, and the Spectrum Protect Plus job status. If you do have an always-on availability group or an AAG server or cluster, then that information is going to be logged on all of the members of the cluster simultaneously. So they will not be on a specific member. And the information in the messages is going to include the UUID, the name of the database, and any message information that was included in the completion status. So basically, if you want to determine whether you have a successful backup outside of looking at the Spectrum Protect Plus job, you're going to need to correlate the event log with the backup set table to ensure that all of the steps of the VSS backup and the SPP cataloging are successful. And you should have the information there to determine if something went wrong, what specifically went wrong, and what database that applies to. Moving on to Spectrum Protect Plus for online services. As you can see using this chart, earlier in the year, we provided the ability to protect Microsoft 365 data with Spectrum Protect Plus for online services, delivered as a comprehensive multi-workload software as a service data protection platform. Beginning in December, we have now added the ability to protect the Salesforce cloud data, including the Sales Cloud, the Commerce Cloud, and the Service Cloud with Spectrum Protect Plus for online services. Spectrum Protect for online services for Salesforce delivers the same great features, or many of the same great features that you are aware of, hopefully, with Microsoft 365. First of all, there's no install or upgrade to do. It's automatically installed because it's delivered as a service. And the configuration of the product is very simple. In many cases, it's set up as a wizard. So it takes really about only 10 minutes to set up the Spectrum Protect Plus for online services for Salesforce for multiple orgs. Once you do that, you'll get better RPO. So you have automatic backup plans for up to 4 times a day, plus on-demand backup, and the ability to do restores at a granular level, including the ability to do sandbox seeding from your production instance to one or more sandbox instances using our production interface. Continuing with Spectrum Protect Plus for online services, beginning in this December release, we have developed a new user interface for it. And as you can see, when you bring up SPPOS for Microsoft 365. You'll get the ability to preview the new GUI by clicking on that Try It New button. And here you see a little bit of what that will look like when you go to that GUI. So it's in many ways the same with the same menu system, etc., but just a little easier to use, a little different colors, and a little more information available. One of the things I will point out is beginning with December, we are now supporting the ability to restore Teams, Microsoft Teams user chat, and you can see that in the list of objects that are available for the restore. And we have just added the ability to restore Power BI information and reports using Spectrum Protect Plus for online services. So that's something for you to check out and to try. Okay, so moving on for some of the changes for Spectrum Copy Data Management version 2.2.18. Basically, we've enhanced the ransomware scan support for SAP HANA so that it now runs on Red Hat version 8.4. Spectrum Copy Data Management also now supports safeguarded copy with FlashSytems if you're running in a Hyperswap configuration. And again, I would ask that you look to the All Requirements document for the details. There are a significant number of security updates that are coming in for Spectrum Copy Data Management, and the SCDM has been updated to the latest version of Red Hat 8.6 in the image to close out those pcerts, and also updated to the latest version of Postgres SQL and OpenSSL to close out those pcerts. Now, going forward, we have done work around the admin console to incorporate the upgrade of the OS and all of the open source components. So post 2.2.18, such as eFixes and 2.2.19, you should be able to use the admin console to do the upgrade. But there is still a caveat that earlier versions, and specifically Spectrum Copy Data Management 2.2.16 to 2.2.18, continue to use an upgrade script instead of an admin console to do the upgrade. So that completes the enhancements we have for Spectrum Protect Plus and Spectrum Copy Data Management. I hope you found that information useful, and I look forward to seeing you in another video soon.